We welcome you to our Twilight Talks on Faith, and tonight we are in Hebrews 11:21 and 22. Tyler, if you'll read that.
By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed each of the sons of Joseph and worshipped, leaning on the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when he was dying, made mention of the departure of the children of Israel and gave instructions concerning his bones.
All right. So this goes to that incident where you can read about it in Genesis 49. The blessing of Jacob upon all of his sons. Joseph never got a blessing. Joseph's children, however, did. And there was a point where that was by faith, because really and truly, other than in the book of Revelation, you'll see Joseph mentioned a couple of other times as a, quote, tribe. But for the most part, you never see Joseph counted among the children of Israel. It's always his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. And what happened was Joseph thought that his dad was old and made a mistake when he placed his hands on their foreheads and he crossed them right over left. And Joseph was like, "Yo, Dad, you did it backwards." And he's like, "No, boy, I know what I'm doing." You know? And so the blessing on Ephraim and Manasseh was done by faith. Jacob having instruction from God on what he needed to do. And then Joseph, remember, 4 centuries will pass. When Jacob dies, they take Jacob's bones back to the cave of Machpelah, and they bury him there with all of his kinfolk. But Joseph dies in Egypt as a high-level Egyptian, and he's entombed and everything. But he tells them as he nears death, he says, "When God comes and delivers you, take me back with you to my father and my grandfather and my great-grandfather's land." He said, God's going to visit you. And it was in the 4th generation. And Joseph believed that. Joseph spoke that. Joseph gave command about that. And he expected them to remember it 400 years later. And Tyler, you remember what the Word of God tells us when the children of Israel got ready to leave Egypt? What'd they have?
They took the bones of Joseph with them.
They took the bones of Joseph with them. And Joshua and the children of Israel carried them over into the land of promise and laid them to rest in the land of promise. And so, and you say, well, is that? No, I want you to think about this. Tell me what America's going to look like in 400 years. Tyler shrugs his shoulders. If I say to Tyler, I give command that my bones shall be returned to Texas. When God delivers my people, and he takes us back to the land of promise, to Texas. You see, you love Texas, don't you? Short of eternity, I think Texas is probably the closest thing that there is to heaven on earth. But I might be wrong. But I don't believe so. Now, many people in Florida would argue with me and say, Florida's the closest thing to heaven on earth. I appreciate that. But to speak 400 years in the future, before they had even gone into their time of slavery, they were still free. And he tells them, God's going to visit you in your affliction. And you're going to take my bones out of here. That's some faith. And then it happened just like he said. And you and I, how many times, Tyler, in your life as a Christian, someone, well, I prayed to God about it and it didn't happen instantly. But then the same person says, I don't believe in miracles. You wanted an instant answer to prayer, but you don't believe God acts instantly anymore. Start to learn these lessons of faith from these people. Sometimes you speak about stuff that's 5, 10 generations, 50 generations away. Sometimes it is literally as it's coming out your mouth. The entirety of everything is changing literally right in front of your eyes. But for it to be from faith and for you and I to ever see it work that way, we've got to change what we believe, because the only things we see by faith are the things that we believe. Do you have any other thoughts on this one, my brother?
Yes, sir.
All right, with that, Lord willing, we'll see you Sunday morning at 9:30 and 10:30, if not in person, then on the live stream for our Bible class and our worship. Until then, have a good night.